Hey guys, hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Cayman Haven. My name is Gary, you can also call me Cayman as well. And oh my god, look who we have in the house, back after
I'm
such a long
back.
time. Hey Hannah,
Thank
welcome
you for
back.
having me.
Oh my god,
Great to be back.
yeah, I know. Wow, when was the last time we spoke? Um,
Well, I would say the last time we would have filmed it would have been back in like February because I've got a new setup now. So
yeah,
at
yeah.
least February. So I would say about like what 5 months.
Yes, yeah, like loving the new setup behind you as well. Like, it's different, and yeah, it's been. I think it's like what, maybe 7 or 8 months since I think the last time we got together. We did like, I think it was like a Blackpink review. Oh no, we reviewed Tenet or something. I think
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, that would have been
maybe like
last
June,
year.
July. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, but yeah, it's been a long time. But yeah, we're obviously today. We're gonna be talking about Black Widow, the newest Marvel movie. It's a solo, I guess, the first solo movie for the Black Widow character that's played by Scarlett Johansson. And we're doing this review in lockdown currently. Melbourne's in a
Number
lockdown.
five.
Exactly, our fifth lockdown. As of today, it's been extended for another 7 days. We were in lockdown for 5 days. Hopefully, lockdown would have been lifted by the time this video comes goes online. So we'll see. Talking about Black Widow, I think we're about like 2 weeks removed from the movie. So we'll try and recall as much as we can about what happened. But yeah, so basically before talking about the movie itself, I guess I just want to get like a rough idea from you. Like, I just want to talk about what is your relationship with Marvel movies? Like are you a huge fan? Do you like them? Have you seen all of them? Like,
Well, definitely. Yes, I am a Marvel fan. I would say I'm definitely more of a fan of the franchise the movie franchise as opposed to the comics. A
comics, yeah.
lot of the
Agree.
comics, like,
Yeah.
I never knew of Iron Man, to be honest. I was more aware of the DC
Yeah.
comics.
Mm.
So once those movies came out, so the Marvel movies, I
Yeah.
definitely got introduced to a whole new range of all these superheroes. And yeah, I
Yeah.
will watch every single one that comes out. I love them so much.
Mm-hmm.
My things with movies is that I want to kind of switch off my brain and just
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't really like movies where I have to think too much. So
Mhm.
those Marvel movies, any Marvel movies, is just fun to watch. I'm not there to kind of critique it. It's just there for me to have fun.
Yeah.
So that's why I love movies. It's to have fun and enjoy myself.
So yeah, you do love the movies. Do you have a particular like favorite of these like Marvel movies? Like, is there one that you really enjoy, that you've seen more often, or that you remember more than the other ones? Or
Honestly, not really. I think my most favorite, one of the most memorable one is the Avengers.
yeah,
Like the first, they all just came together, and
Yeah.
then you kind of they're building that backstory. So when they first come
Yeah.
together, I think that one's the most memorable one. And I just love the banter that goes on between them as well. So I would say that one's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about yourself?
so my favorite of the Marvel movies is the very first Iron Man. So I still love the first one a lot, because that was the one that obviously introduced Tony Stark, and he made that role so iconic. I just really liked what it was going for, and back in 2008, which is when the movie got released, the landscape of comic book movies was really different back then, and it just felt like really fresh and something different. I guess it was able to balance serious and being funny and humor and comedy really, really well. And I just like the whole I guess I just like the whole Iron Man mythology, the building the suit and how he like brings together technology and stuff. I just like when there's like a bit of a sci-fi element where they have to like create something and put a suit together. I guess I really enjoyed that aspect of the first movie. But I would say, yeah, overall, I'm sure you know this of me, but I'm not the biggest fan of the Marvel franchise, I guess. As the movies have gone on, I don't think they do it for me as much. I do like the Avengers movies, and I do agree with you. The first Avengers movie was like, that was really good. I felt like, I think that was really fun because it was like the first time where they brought all these characters together, and I think that was like, that was something that we never really saw done
Yeah.
in movies before, where each
Yeah,
individual
100%.
characters, have like their own
Yeah.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah. And to have that backstory and everyone kind of knows,
Mm.
oh, like Iron Man and then Thor and then the Hulk, like all of them coming together is just amazing. So yeah, it's the first of its, I mean, that I know of at least, the first time when every like big characters just come together.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, so you had that aspect to it. But then, as the movie's gone on, I don't know. I feel like they don't really, like they start to sort of blend with each other a little bit.
Mm.
And then, so I would say I'm more of a DC kind of guy. When it comes to comic book movies, like, you know me, I'm a DC like fanboy. I love all the DC movies, especially Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman's like my favorite of them all. So I guess which is a good, segue, because obviously Black Widow is like a female solo superhero movie, which is there's not many of them in terms of the Marvel roster of the films. I guess we only had Captain Marvel before this. Right? Mm-hmm. When you think about it. So there's like 26, 27 of these movies, but you know, we only had one female. So I guess from that point of view, Marvel just had a little bit more catching up to do. I obviously don't know what you thought about the movie.
We haven't spoken about it.
We haven't spoken about it, obviously. This is the first time I get to find out. So I am just going to say it right now. I'm a firm believer in you should always start negative and then go to positive. And obviously this is me saying this without knowing how you felt about it, but I'll just come out right out and say that I wasn't a fan of Black Widow. I wouldn't say I was like very, very disappointed. I went in with very low expectations. But I think overall, I was just a little bit underwhelmed, I guess. How I felt about it. Like, it wasn't like I wasn't like upset or really disappointed or hated it. I just felt like it was kind of it didn't really do it for me. Is how I felt. I think the two things I kind of like want to talk about that I didn't like. Obviously, there's a lot more details I want to get into, but I'll get into them later. But just briefly, the first thing that I didn't like about it was have you seen the Mission Impossible Fallout movie?
No, I don't think so.
You haven't seen? Are you?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
So this movie reminded me of Mission Impossible Fallout, which is the last Mission Impossible movie that Tom Cruise did, and it felt like a lesser version of Mission Impossible Fallout. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like it was trying to copy like the same action sequences. Even the music feels the same. There's like a bike chase or car chase in the middle of Budapest. There's like a skydiving sequence towards the end of the movie. And just some of the spy espionage kind of stuff just felt very much like, I was trying to be Mission Impossible, but like it feels like a lesser version of that. The second thing I guess I didn't like about Black Widow was that this movie is called Black Widow, but it really felt like the studio didn't really have a lot of confidence in Scarlett Johansson as the main character. So even though the movie is called Black Widow, I still feel like she's not really as big of a part in the movie. It feels like they've surrounded her with all these supporting characters, and it seems like they get just as much screen time of her. So I felt like Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow didn't really get much of a chance to make her impact, which is a little, I guess, disappointing, because this is meant to be like her last outing as this character. Like, this was meant to be a final movie, and I just felt like they did Scarlett Johansson a little bit dirty, is what I'm trying to say.
No, I kind of agree. I think when I watched the movie, I was like, this doesn't feel like a Black Widow movie. It kind of felt like
Black Widow and
a Black Widow movie that is about the Black Widows as opposed to being about the Black Widow that is Scarlett Johansson. No, I completely agree where you're coming from. Yeah.
So that's what I felt. And then like this whole thing about family, which is like, I'm like, we just watched Fast and Furious, and obviously the Fast and Furious franchise is like, it's all about family all the time. And it's just really weird, like watching this movie and just being like, oh, it's about family again. And I don't know, there's something about that just was like, all right, really? We're going to do this again? You know, especially we just beat them back to back. I will say the two things that I really liked, about the movie was the music. I thought the music was awesome. They got the same composer from Mission Impossible Fallout. So that's why it reminded me of that movie. But the music was great. I've been listening to the score for the last 2 weeks now. And the second thing I really liked about the movie was Florence Pugh as Yelena, who's like Black Widow's sister. I thought that actress was... I've seen her in other movies as well, so she's really good. I felt like she stole the movie for me. So those are the two things that I like. But overall, yeah, I just felt like, yeah, it was a bit underwhelming. I felt like it was a little bit inspired in terms of from a visual standpoint. I think it also has a bit of a villain problem in that, like, you know, when you have a superhero movie, you want your villains to be memorable. And I felt like I didn't really get, the villain didn't really register for me as an impactful or threatening presence, I guess. I sort of knew the movie was going to be a bit of a problem when they show the entire origin story of Black Widow in the opening montage with the credits and all the names, and that's where all the origin of the Black Widow is. And I was like, okay, you just kind of like skip, like kind of like hand wave off all this really important backstory in the opening montage. So I thought that was like a bit of a problem. But yeah, so that's overall my thoughts. But what about you, Hannah? What did you think of Black Widow? Do you agree with what I said, or like how did you feel about the movie overall?
I think I personally quite liked it. I think I got a lot of good content out of it.
Yeah, sorry.
But I completely agree with what you're saying. I think for me, I kind of came in with quite low expectations because it had been delayed for so long as well. So I was just kind of like, okay, this build up, okay, oh, it's delayed again, okay. And like, obviously it's not the movie's fault to blame. But yeah, I felt like it was a little bit delayed.
Yeah.
And then I felt like if it had come out just straight after, oh my God,
I think it's Spider-Man Far From Home, Avengers.
Just like, whatever the last release was, if it came straight after that, I think it would be a lot more enjoyable. You can remember what actually happened during the movies and things like that.
Yeah.
But because there was a delay of like a year, I personally just forgot everything.
Yeah.
In terms of the movie, what I expected, I did think I completely agree. I thought it was meant to be a Black Widow movie, but it did seem to center around her family a lot more.
Yeah.
I wanted to see more of her backstory, why she was the way she was. Yeah. And like, obviously they did describe it throughout the movie. I just wanted a bit more focus on Scarlett Johansson, so I completely agree.
Yeah.
But that said, I kind of understand because this is the first movie of the next phase. So I think we know what happens to her. Spoiler warning, you know, she dies.
I was going to say spoilers for Avengers Endgame. If you have not seen that movie, why wouldn't you? It's the highest, one of the highest, if not the highest grossing movie ever made. So if you haven't seen that movie in 2 years, that's on you. But yes, go ahead. Yeah, so she dies in Avengers Endgame. Yeah.
She dies, obviously. And I just feel like there wasn't a need. Like, I felt like it would have been more appropriate to have her backstory before Endgame had actually occurred, or before we were going to die or something. But I feel like the movie, the way it is now, I kind of understand why they're going for that way, because you don't want to. She's dead. Yeah, you don't need to really know her background. You don't need to focus a lot on it, and it's the introduction to Florence Pugh's character into the MCU as well. And I think she's going to take on the Black Widow name anyway, so I think that's why they didn't really focus on Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow. I agree with the villain aspect as well, but overall, I actually quite enjoyed it because it's the first Marvel movie back. I really had low expectations, so that's kind of why it really, I think I enjoyed it because it was delayed for so long. But that being said, I kind of wish I maybe watched Civil War before, because I think I put it set after Civil War. I kind of, it had been, I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, what happened? Like, I remember this happened, and I knew they split up, but he was running away. When did that happen? So yeah, I think if you were planning on watching the movie, maybe refresh your memory. But overall, I personally enjoyed it. I came in with low expectations, didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
I had a feeling they weren't going to focus on her because she's dead. They don't really want you to fall in love with her again, type of thing.
Yeah. I think that's a good point that you've made, and I just kind of want to piggyback off that, because obviously, I mean, I don't know what really counts as spoiler or non-spoiler in this movie. I don't really feel like there's a lot to spoil, I feel. So I'll try and tread carefully. But basically, the movie begins, and this movie establishes that it is set between Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. And I guess I kind of like that. Because I've heard a lot of people complain saying that, like, oh, this movie was too late. Like, Black Widow's movie, she should have had a solo movie earlier because, you know, like, the characters died. So it almost feels pointless to do a solo movie with her, knowing her fate. But I actually thought that was actually an interesting challenge from a storytelling point of view, because I feel like, okay, we always get these origin movies, right? Origin superhero movies where we find out how they're made and how they become the superhero. And a lot of them are like, after a while, it's like, okay, it's there's a formula in place, right? So I kind of like the fact that this was like, it's not really an origin story. It's kind of like a movie that's set between, it's like a spin-off, like a story that's just set in the universe. The setup is this: all her friends have been captured, right? Captain America is nowhere to be found. And they, obviously the movie keeps reminding you that it's set after Civil War because they keep telling you about Captain America over and over again. But I really appreciated that. Like, I really appreciated that was how they were going to tackle it. And then it would be about her while she's by herself, separated from the Avengers. And this is her reflecting on what has happened to her and how she's come to this, to this place. And it's about her tracing her origins of how she became Black Widow in the first place. We find out that there's this clandestine organization that's very much responsible for, turning her to who she is. And I guess I kind of like that, I kind of enjoyed that aspect. But I think for me, it didn't play out the way I thought. I didn't think it was very as satisfying as I wanted it to. I
completely understand where you're coming from. I just think, I think for me, I was like, oh my God, finally a Marvel movie. Like, finally. That's where I was kind of like, okay, I don't really care that much. About
the story details as much,
About the story details, I just want to watch a Marvel movie.
Okay, yeah. So, I kind of like that structure of the story. And I think for me, well, I said I didn't really have expectations, but I guess I kind of, because obviously she sacrificed herself in Avengers, right? And if you're going to make a movie about her set after her death, then I would think that the function of your movie is you're supposed to love this character even more, so that when she makes that sacrifice in Avengers Endgame, it's supposed to hit a lot harder, because now you understand why she sacrificed her life for the Avengers, right? And I guess for me, I don't really feel like this movie like made that impact for me, like in terms of, so if I go back and watch Avengers Endgame, like I really don't feel like that death would matter as much as it already did in Avengers Endgame. Do you know what I mean?
No, I completely agree. But that being said, if the movie was set before the events of Endgame, it would have impacted a lot more. But I think they knew, and again, there's a lot of thoughts where it's like, it's too late type of thing.
Too late,
So, again, it's just really up to you what you think of where the movie should have been released and things like that.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the stuff that you did enjoy about the movie, and then so that like I myself can be like, oh, maybe I did enjoy that part. Yeah. What were the things?
I really like the chemistry between all the characters. I think Florence Pugh's character, Florence. Her character was phenomenal. I thought I laughed quite a bit when she was joking about the Black Widow landing, and she was doing it. Yeah. I think that was a really good to space that in, throughout the entire movie. I think that was just really funny. And then I just also think her and oh my God, what's the character? The red
the Red Guardian or something, or the red.
Yeah, the Red Guardian. Sorry,
which, like her father, played by David Harbour from Stranger Things. Yeah.
Yeah, so even that relationship was quite funny. I did think it was quite comedic. A lot of the times things didn't really make sense. For example, we should be talking about good things. I just like the chemistry between all the characters. I think Florence Pugh was good. I think she was definitely a standout. I obviously wanted a little bit more of Scarlett Johansson, but I think their relationship between the two, they flowed really well on camera. I think it's very typical Marvel humor as well. Very typical, what you'd expect. I thought the action scenes were quite good as well. I guess I don't really want to go too much into detail, but there's obviously, you've mentioned the one about the car on the motorbike, the one that's in the big when they're getting David Harbour out of the prison. So that seems when they were trying to break him out of prison, and there was like an action sequence there. Yeah, so that was quite good as well. Very epic. I love Florence Pugh as well. Like in Fighting With My Family, that was one of my favorite movies in the last couple of years when it came.
She was really good in it. Yeah, she's awesome.
But I would just say, look, I think I was just so hyped for a Marvel movie that anything they would have given me, I would have just eaten it up. In all honesty.
Yeah. I think I don't. Okay, I mean, I'll try to disagree with you as respectfully, but like I thought the action sequences weren't as good as I felt. I felt a lot of it is like really choppy and really like quickly edited. So it's sometimes it's really hard to tell like what's happening during the action scenes. So there's some really cool ideas there. My problem with the action sequence is that every time it seems like it's about to get really good or really interesting, it ends. It kind of ends before it really even begins, kind of thing. So I don't know. I just feel like, because obviously Scarlett Johansson has been in a lot of these movies. I feel like in this one, you don't really get the sense, at least for me, I don't really get the sense that she is as convincing of a physical performer as she was in the other ones. Or because sometimes I feel like you can tell that it's not her doing the stunts, you know? So that was, on a technical level, I didn't think the action sequences were as exciting as I wanted it to be. You talked about the humor. I actually thought the humor was, it didn't really do it. Like, it didn't land for me, I guess. Like, you were talking about that, they keep making fun of the 3-point pose and that. Like, that's... Yeah. I mean, have you seen Deadpool?
Yeah.
Right? Like, they kind of already made that joke in Deadpool. So when they, like, brought it up here, I was like, all right, I think you guys are, like, 6 years too late, but we've already made that reference already, kind of thing. But you just kind of give it a bit of a pass just because, like, it's Florence Pugh, like, she's trying to sell the joke. Yeah. So, and I think for me, the reason why the action sequences weren't as impressive was because of the villain. So they introduced this villain who's able to mimic the movements and the actions of several other, like, iconic Marvel characters, like Iron Man, Captain America, and Black Panther and stuff, right? You come up with that's a really interesting character from a like an action point of view. Like, you could do so many things with a character that has these kind of powers. And I just felt like that character wasn't really fully utilized as much. Like, we don't really get to see them do, like, really, really cool stuff. Especially towards the end when you see this character fighting the Red Guardian, right? And you think, okay, this is going to be epic, right? Because they established the Red Guardian as this sort of, like, a Russian version of Captain America. And it's like, okay, this is going to be an epic fight. And then as they're fighting, it just cuts away to Scarlett Johansson in a room, just, like, talking. And it was just kind of like, all right, this is not very exciting. Like, I want to see what that fight looks like, you know? When you have a character that can do so many interesting things. And so I just think, that also it was really weird because obviously there's a point in the movie where that character takes off their helmet. Okay. And you're like, okay, it's made like into such a big reveal and but it's actually not a character that you already know. It's just like some character. But then that actress that they cast, okay, that's spoiler already, I don't know. The actress that they cast to play in that role was actually older than Scarlett Johansson, but Scarlett Johansson, I guess,
it's meant to be older, like than that.
Because when Scarlett Johansson, kills, the girl, like the girl was meant to be in like primary school and she was meant to be older. Yeah. So just some like weird stuff like that. That was kind of like, okay, this feels a little bit odd. But yeah, basically, so one thing that I really want to talk about was the chemical. Okay, this red chemical that apparently influences all the women that are working for the secret organization called the Red Room in the movie. So this idea that like this organization that's like, I don't know, trafficking women, I guess, and turning them into like super secret agents or something. We find out that these people do really horrible things to these women. But the movie doesn't really, obviously it's a Marvel movie, so the movie like doesn't really, I guess, want to explore that.
Go too much into
it. So it's just kind of like reference in a joke that Florence Pugh was like making towards David Harbour about reproductive organs and stuff. And that was like to the extent of it. But I think that's like, I think a bit unsatisfying for me is that Black Widow, like her mission in this movie is she's trying to free all these other women who are under the subjugation of this organization. And the way they subjugate these women is that they create some magic chemical in order to put these women under the influence. And in order to get them out, to snap them out of the influence, she basically has to come up with a counter magic chemical to spray into their face in order to get them to like regain their consciousness, so to speak. And I guess for me that's like a little bit unsatisfying as an obstacle for your hero, just because I think it just will be a lot more sinister if these women were acting according to their own will, like they have somehow been brainwashed into thinking that whatever they're doing is right, and she has to sort of convince them, no, these people are really bad. What they're doing to you is really bad. Instead of, let's have a comic book thing of like, yeah, we have some magic chemical that's putting you under an influence, and I just find some counter substance to spray in your face and wake you back up. I just think that's like a little bit unsatisfying storytelling to me.
Yeah.
But do you agree or like?
Yeah. Look, I know I said I did enjoy the movie, but the plot was one of kind of like was a little bit for me. Like it wasn't the greatest plot. So like firstly, the villain was obviously just like, he didn't really seem that sinister. Like as you said, he was just controlling women type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I thought I don't know if I just misinterpreted the movie, but I thought it was because like they had a chip or something.
Maybe.
I didn't think it was a chemical. I don't know. Because I remember in the very first fight scene, and it could be just a tracking thing, I don't know, but he had a key or something, right? Or the ring. So I feel like it was the chip that controlled the women, and then that red gas stopped the effects of the chip. And the chip, I remember, again, in the first scene, Florence Pugh cuts it out of herself, and then that's how they stopped tracking her. So that was my interpretation. I could be wrong. I don't remember. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know.
I'm bringing, I guess, this red chemical up. I think one of the most, like, what the heck idea was the fact that when Scarlett Johansson is facing the big boss, and then she is unable to attack him for some reason. Yeah. I didn't like that. I was like, I don't like the fact that, he can't, Scarlett Johansson just pretty much couldn't inflict any pain because of some reason. Yeah. I can't remember what it was for, but the way she got out of that control, it just didn't make sense to me. In order to get out of this, she goes on this like full spiel about, I can do it myself, and then she hurts herself. And that's how she's able to...
Yeah, she breaks her nose. Yeah.
But like in the plan, there's all this like backstory. You know, this is how we planned. There's like a big reveal and using like I had a plan going actually into this, and it all gets revealed. But I'm just like, if you had this whole plan and you knew, and the mother told you that he can control you, you can't physically hurt him, wouldn't you do it before? Yeah. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. That was just kind of like... Yeah. Okay. Like, it was just obviously for plot convenience. Like, wouldn't you try and do that before so that this pheromone doesn't affect you? Yeah. Look, to be honest, now that you've brought it up, it's clear to me that I didn't even remember the plot as well. Like, I didn't remember there was a red gas until you've actually brought it up. So I guess that kind of does say a lot about the plot.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you. And I think all of it boils down to one of the reasons why I feel like these Marvel movies don't do it for me as much is because I think they do have ideas. I do think they have messages that they're trying to convey. But it's the balance of comic book elements with like the serious stuff. I just find that they don't hit that balance very well. Like, you want to suggest that this organization is controlling these women somehow. That's a really like heavy subject matter, right? Because obviously we have organizations that control and brainwash individuals as well. So I feel like it's trying to get at that big idea of this sinister thing that's relatable to real life in sort of way. But then we also have these comic booky things of like, there's some he has some device in his body that releases some pheromones so that when the women, like, you know, when it goes into the sinuses, therefore they're not going to attack him. And so she breaks her nose, and it's like, does breaking your nose mean that you can't smell anymore? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Yeah. So it a lot of it is just it just strains credulity a little bit, and so you just kind of like, it's just really sad that at the end of the day, it's like, all right, you have a message to say, but I still have to view you as like a popcorn entertainment, so to speak. Like I'm not supposed to think too hard about it, but you've also made me think a lot about things as well. So yeah, I just feel like they don't strike that balance very well.
Yeah, well, I mentioned to you that I really didn't think too hard about it. So, no, I completely agree that there could be some sort of a political or some sort of like statement about the world at the moment. But I think this Marvel movie is meant to be I guess I would consider it like McDonald's. It's bad, like it's good at the time, but it's ultimately bad for you in the end. Like there are quite a lot of good ideas that could have been executed, but I don't think you're meant to think that hard about it.
Yeah.
I think the idea of Marvel is to kind of like, obviously there's an end scene. I think the idea of movies, Marvel movies in general, is to poke at the next movie.
Yeah.
So that movie isn't really meant to play a big part. It's just meant to, this is just a little bit of what's to come.
What's to come,
if that makes sense.
It's constantly like sequel baiting, basically.
Exactly. That's what I think these Marvel movies are. And it's like McDonald's to me. Like you eat it and it's good at the time.
Yeah.
You're looking forward to the next one, but you know it's going to be bad, but you still look forward to the next one. And I mean, I wouldn't say it's bad. I just enjoy it.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's like what your expectations are, you know. Can a Marvel movie, like a comic book movie that's aimed at, you know, a 4-quadrant like demographic, can it be art as well? And I feel like it's up to you whether you think that are these movies like meant to be taken seriously or not. And the things that they focus on, like the things that they are trying to sequel bait or breadcrumb you with details that like, oh, this is meant to connect to Civil War or Infinity War, are details that ultimately I'm not as interested in. Like things like the movie like spends a lot of time talking, like not spends a lot of time, but like shows you like, oh, that we were trying to explain why she became a blonde in Infinity War, and it's like, do we really need that detail about why she's a blonde? Like we have her looking at a hair dye at one moment, like that is this really important?
I think that's meant to be like, what's the word, like an Easter egg, you know? When like Yelena's character is making a joke about the Black Widow stance. It's meant to be like, oh my god, yes, it's oh my god, yeah, I remember that.
It's been all those movies,
talk about Captain America. Oh my god, they talked about Captain America. I think that really sparks up a Marvel fan's excitement when they keep bringing back or like referring to something else. That really brings
callbacks.
And I personally really enjoyed it as well. I'm like, oh my god, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, that did happen. And then they're poking, you know, like about future events and things like that. I think it's quite enjoyable. I mean, I guess it really depends on what type of fan you are as well.
I suppose,
little Easter eggs. But
or the fact that Yelena is constantly like, oh, check out my vest. Look at all these pockets. It's a really, really good vest.
I love that vest. I want a vest.
I know. And then it's like, well, that's the vest that Black Widow wears in Infinity War, you know? And it's just kind of like, okay, all right. I suppose, like you said, if you're a huge fan, then these little Easter eggs will make you happy. But for me, it's more like, well, it's just a vest. You know, there are other aspects that you could have, you know, focus on, like strengthening her character and her decision making in those other movies to explore why she's made that sacrifices and how she feels towards the other Avengers. Do you have anything specific that you want to talk about, or?
I guess we didn't really talk about the mother.
Rachel Weisz.
Family.
Did you like that stuff? Did you like them, like the whole like mismatch? Like they're not really a family, but they're sort of put together, and then it's about like family.
I think it became a little bit laughable, in all honesty, only because we did watch Fast and Furious last week. Sorry, the week
before we saw it.
Yeah, we went to watch that movie together. And then people were obviously making jokes about how Dom just keeps talking about family. So that personally, I feel like that affected my perception of family in this movie. And I think it was meant to, I think it was meant to have a bigger story where it's like you don't actually have to be biological to be family. And I think that's meant to be representative of the Avengers as her family as well. So I think honestly, it just seemed a little bit too comedic because there were so many memes coming about mysterious and family, when I actually didn't really think about this family, her fake family, is also very similar to the Avengers family, where they're not blood related, but she was willing to sacrifice her own life for the Avengers. And it's a situation also. It's trying to just show that family doesn't have to be blood, if that makes sense.
It's just kind of, I know what you mean. Yeah. It's just sort of like symbolic of like the dynamic that she had with the other Avengers. I get that that's what the movie is doing as well, but I don't know. It didn't really work for me. At least not on the first watch anyway. I don't know if I will watch it again, but maybe sometime down the line when it comes on TV, I might like watch it. So yeah, I guess overall, those like, are my thoughts on the movie. I would just say something that I forgot to mention about Marvel is that recently they've been doing a lot of these Marvel Disney Plus TV shows. So even though we haven't had a Marvel movie like in the movie theater for the last 2 years, they've been doing a lot of the TV shows. And I actually have to say, I actually think I like the Marvel TV shows currently. Not WandaVision. I wasn't a fan of WandaVision. It started out really strong, but I think towards the end, I didn't enjoy it as much. But I thought Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki, solid. They were both really, really good. And I think the reason why they were both really good is because it wasn't a movie. It was a mini series, like a TV, like a quote unquote TV show. And so there's more screen time to actually allow some of the character stuff to breathe, and the world and the world building stuff and all the mythology of the universe that they're in. So a part of me wonders, like, maybe Black Widow should have been like a Marvel TV show instead of like a movie, because I do feel like it has some ideas, but the movie's too rushed. It's trying to get to those beats really quick, and I feel like some things just got lost. Some things just got lost in translation. I don't know if you understood that reference.
I've heard that phrase.
It was a movie that Scarlet Johansson was in. Lost in translation. So no, I personally didn't get it, but I have heard that phrase. It was a popular movie that made Scarlett Johansson famous. Lost in translation. Anyways, have you been watching the Marvel TV shows? Like, do you like them or?
Yeah, Loki, I think I'm up to episode 3, so I'm still trying to catch up on that. But speaking of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there is a connection between them with the final scene, so that's really exciting. But I think to be a Marvel fan, you really need to watch everything. You need to watch all the movies, you need to watch the TV shows to kind of really appreciate it a lot more. I have been watching it. I'm still slowly catching up to Loki because I'd like to watch it
in one go,
as opposed to waiting every single week. So now that it's completely out, I am sort of watching it now. So
I would say I really enjoyed them. I think Loki especially, I really, really liked. Overall, I feel like in terms of female-driven solo movies, I wasn't a fan of Captain Marvel either. So I think, it's 2 strikes for me. Is that, well, does WandaVision count? It doesn't really count, it's a TV show. But so if WandaVision counts, that's 3 strikes. That's 3 female led stuff that hasn't really done it for me. You're obviously a little bit more positive on it. I think a lot of people are as well. Like, it's rated really high. And this is just me being a jackass, but everybody hates Wonder Woman 1984, right? Like, you've heard me talk about...
Do they? I personally liked it.
You liked it?
I think...
Yeah, but I think for me, I'm just really baffled. So a lot of people say that Wonder Woman 1984 wasn't good. And then I watched this movie. I feel like Wonder Woman 1984 was way better than this. But I don't know. What did you think? Do you think they're both on par? You weren't as big of a fan of Wonder Woman 1984 as I was, but...
Yeah, like, I enjoyed it personally. It's very hard for me to say I don't like a movie because, again, when I watch any type of superhero movie, my mind kind of just shuts off. Like, I'm not there to kind of really think too hard about it. But, I mean, I think visually, Wonder Woman was a lot visually more appealing. The costumes were great. Storyline...
Don't go there. Don't go there. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I personally like Like if I'm trying to say, I can't really say which one I liked better. In all honesty, I'm probably going to keep it to myself.
Okay. No, I'm just kidding. Look, it's
just for your sake, Gary.
No, it's okay. It's objective.
But I personally liked it. Like it's not my favorite movie, but I enjoyed it.
Which one? Black.
Oh, sorry, Wonder Woman.
I mean, Gal Gadot is amazing. The movie looks gorgeous, and I don't know. This movie is shorter than Wonder Woman 1984, but I felt like this was long. And 1984 felt like it went by for me, just because like I was a bit more invested in the characters. I love romance. There's no romance in Black Widow. But yeah. So anyway, it's all subjective, really. Well, like if you were to give a rating to Black Widow, how many stars would you give it?
Out of 5, I think 3.
Yeah,
3.
That's
yeah. Like it's not the best Marvel movie. I had a good time. As long as you just don't think too much personally about it, I think it's an enjoyable time for everyone, really. And I think it's just good to kind of see after what happened in Endgame. It's just good to kind of see her as a character again.
Yeah. Whereas for me, I would rate it 2 out of 5 for me. 1 star for Florence Pugh, 1 star for the music. But overall, I didn't like it as much, but you know, I'm glad you were able to talk about it. At least there are aspects that I enjoyed about it. I obviously like Scarlett Johansson. It's a bit sad that she's not going to be in the franchise anymore, but everyone has to make an exit, you know, someday. Chris Evans has left. Robert Downey Jr. is no longer part of, you know, the universe anymore, so it just makes sense that she would be the next one, just because like she's one of the ones that was there from the beginning. So, and I would just say as well, like if you want to watch something that's similar, I feel this movie reminded me of, there's this movie called Hannah, which is just like your name, but Hannah without the H. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. Yes, I have.
And it stars Saoirse Ronan. You've seen her in a lot of movies. It has Eric Bana as well, and it has Kate Blanchett. That's what Black Widow reminded me a lot of. So I would definitely recommend you guys like checking out Hannah. It's got a similar like assassin, spy thing going on there. But it's very stylish. The music's great. I would recommend you checking that out. Another movie that I would recommend is Tomorrow War, if you've got Amazon Prime. Have you heard of Tomorrow War, which is the Chris Pratt?
Heard about it, but I don't have Amazon Prime.
So it's basically like, Tomorrow War, which you probably, all of you would have heard of it, because Amazon is like really advertising it everywhere. You can't go onto any website without seeing a poster for it. But it's basically like a Chris Pratt, big budget, sci-fi like action movie with like aliens and stuff. So there's a bit of Independence Day, a bit of Quiet Place, a bit of Alien, a bit of Edge of Tomorrow. Like it has influences from everything. That movie was really, really good, and I wish I actually got to see it in a movie theater, because it was like, it felt like a big budget movie. Like you watch it and you're like, wow, that felt like they really spent a lot of money on it. And so I would recommend go watch it with Black Widow, I suppose. Maybe wait till it comes out on Disney Plus, when it's
for free on Disney Plus.
But you would say go see it, right, in a movie theater if you're missing a Marvel movie in a. Yeah.
I think the next one is Shang-Chi, which comes out in August.
We have to talk about that. Asian representation.
Yes.
So
that'll be our next one.
That'll be our next one, and hopefully I will be more positive on it. Anything else to say, or should we wrap it up? Or
no, I've got nothing else really.
Nothing else. Everyone stay safe during this lockdown in Melbourne, if you are living in Melbourne. And hopefully we'll be back to talk about something else later. Hey Hannah, thank you so much for joining me to talk about Black Widow.
Thanks for having me again, as usual.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't provide much feedback since it was 2 weeks ago, but it was a good discussion.
It was a good discussion.
A lot of
and hopefully no feelings were hurt. Yeah, I'm talking about myself. My feelings weren't hurt. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's been fun. It's always good to have you, on to talk movies with me. It's been a long time. But yeah, are you still doing stuff on Hannah Trena on Instagram.
No, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Good on people for doing full time and having a second hobby. So good on you for being able to, create YouTube videos and things like that. I just have no motivation, honestly. Yeah. I just want to do nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in any case, still just follow her and, see the backlog of stuff that she's got in there with her fan art and stuff. But yeah, thank you. Thanks, Hannah, for joining me. And I guess thanks, everyone, for watching. See you guys later. Bye. Oh, please subscribe to me on YouTube as well.
Like and subscribe.
Okay, like and subscribe. All right. See you guys. Bye.